The Baltimore Ravens had arguably the best draft out of, well, everybody. Like they honestly, that it kind of feel this offseason where there's a lot of players that you're looking out for. There's a lot of different things kind of going on in camp, questions about Lamar Jackson and everything. Like there's a lot of things going on for as it pertains to the Baltimore Ravens, and I think it's a fun time. I feel like there's a lot of different things, like I said, facing this franchise that you're excited about, but there's also some things that you're keeping an eye out keeping an eye out for, excuse me. And I feel like an organization that's really doing a good job of that or helping out with that a lot is FanSided. Obviously we're talking today about the latest Baltimore Ravens camp headlines, and there's a couple of them in there. One of FanSided's latest article. We got to bring you right to it. So here we go. 7 standouts from Ravens minicamp headlined by multiple rookies. So we're going to talk about the headlines. There's a lot of headlines here, and some of these younger players. So the article kind of goes on. It starts with Demarius Williams, the first player that they mentioned. Also mentions a lot of the younger talent later on, but it really specifically mentions the younger cornerback room and everything kind of going out there. So but currently one of the things kind of coming out of this article, and in particular with the Williams scuttlebutt, if you will, it says the Athletics' Jeff Zrebiec, yikes, Jeff Z, we'll call him Jeff Z. The Athletics' Jeff Z reported that Williams has made a really good first impression on the coaching staff. He might still be somewhat of a developmental player, but the former Houston standout has wasted little time getting acclimated. The Ravens would love to be able to rely on their cornerback depth in 2022, and more performances like this from Williams will go a long way. Now, when it says performances, obviously you guys can see up in the paragraph above that, it says, Williams recorded interceptions in consecutive practices on Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah, that's back when they were doing minicamp. So, but anyway, one of the biggest things that you take away from that is, you got a young player that's showing out right away, that has, hopefully you're going to have a secondary that steps up for a secondary that needs it. I believe there was a good amount of injuries that happened to the Ravens, and if you got a younger player like this that's making noise in camp, you absolutely love to see it. You especially in the NFL, you have to have a room just full of good defensive backs, whether that's safeties. Obviously, you guys got one, Cal Hamilton. It is what it is. I'm mad that the Vikings passed on it, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, the Ravens, they've got a plethora of talent, and Williams is no exception in that. So we'll go right back to the article and kind of touching on kind of what's next in terms of headlines for the Ravens. It talks about Jalen Ferguson, RIP, nothing but prayers and love for everyone involved in that situation. Definitely a big loss for the franchise, and I will leave it there. But like I said, nothing but prayers and love going out. But it does mention Rashad Bateman here a little bit, the former Minnesota Gopher. There's a lot of things you got to love about Rashad Bateman, like the size, the speed, all the different things he brings to a franchise, in a particular offense, and it goes on talking and starts talking about, it says few players are more important to the Ravens' success in 2022 than Rashad Bateman. Boom. You love that first line. It just grabs you. You love it. The Ravens have placed a lot of faith in the second year wide out carrying their wide receiver room this season. So, you talk about Rashad Bateman, all the different things he can do. Obviously they traded away Hollywood Brown in the offseason. I mean, they got a first-round pick out of it, so you love it. So they exercised a lot of faith in him, and I think he can easily stand up to it. But, it talks about some of the things kind of going on in camp. Him and Lamar Jackson seem to be getting along very well, having some chemistry. The two hooked up for what might have been the play of minicamp, a long 65-yard bomb that Bateman hauled in over his shoulder for a touchdown on Thursday. So, it's like I said, it's coming out with specific plays from minicamp. That's what you want. You want your quarterback, your number one, hopefully your number one wide receiver, to be kind of on the same page. And it's really sounded like Rashad Bateman. And I've also heard reports that the Lamar Jackson is really slinging it around. He's really looking good. So, that's awesome that Rashad Bateman stepping up, and you're really excited to see it. We'll bring it right back here. So, and then we continue moving on, talking about some of the, get out of here. Okay. We start by talking about some of the other things kind of going on in the Ravens mini camp here. Taylor Beatty. It talked a little bit about the fact that it's kind of interesting that the running back room for the Ravens is very interesting. You talk about the first sentence here. The Ravens ran pretty much an exclusively passing camp this week, which left little room for the running backs to make an impact. But rookie Taylor Beatty still found a way. It really talks about his pass catching. Later on in the article, it talks about he hauled in numerous passes, working with both the starters and backups. The highlight was probably a touchdown from Anthony Brown, in which Beatty burnt past linebacker Patrick Queen. That's hard to do. Patrick Queen can move. He's a dude. Notably, Beatty didn't drop a single pass. And I think, again, you're going to get the whole Lamar Jackson running back jokes, but stop it. Lamar Jackson is a good quarterback. They've got some guys in the backfield here that can do some damage. Tyler Beatty, you love seeing these younger guys, that are just scratch and clawing, just trying to find a way to get on the football field. If he can catch passes and make something out of it, you absolutely love to see it. It adds another element to this Ravens offense, and I think it's going to be definitely something to watch. Moving on here, it talks about Brandon Stevens, the safety, and it says, they liked what they saw about him last season, yada, yada, yada. But then it talked about later on, Stevens was pretty impressive in coverage this week, with his most notable highlight coming on a pass deflection and working against wide receiver Jalen Moore. Moore had the ball in his hands, only for Stevens to reach up and rip it free. Again, when you're talking about the Ravens, you really hope that a lot of these younger secondary players step up, because the Ravens defense is already stacked, but if you can, again, if the more young talent you can have, the better it is for your team. So you really love to hear about Stevens and how he's playing so far throughout the season. And then you finish up here kind of talking about still some really solid players here, and the number one player that I'm really excited about, but we'll get to that in a second. But talked about Devin Williams, the wide receiver. The Ravens never ended up selecting a wide receiver in this year's draft, even though trading away Marquise Hollywood Brown, it was the biggest surprise of draft weekend, although they attempted to alleviate any concerns after the draft continued. Moving on, you talk about, that goes on to talk about, the former Oregon standout made a few notable catches this week, including a very impressive one from college teammate Anthony Brown. So, going above David Vereen, whatever. The point is, this dude is 6'5", 215 pounds. He has the size the Ravens are looking for at the wide receiver position. So, again, they didn't draft a wide receiver. That was the biggest thing to take away from camp here. They didn't draft a wide receiver. They brought in, something like 5 undrafted free agents. It was crazy, but they brought in guys to be able to make some noise, and I'm excited for a guy like that. But the number one thing that was really talked about a lot was Isaiah Likely. Isaiah Likely, I got to be honest with you. I brought this up the other day, but we're going to look up Isaiah Likely college stats. This man, 6'4", 240, had 12 touchdowns. 12 touchdowns. His freshman year, he caught 12 passes, 5 of which were touchdowns. Literally almost half of his passes were touchdowns. Then 5 touchdowns 3 years in a row, had 12 his senior year there at Coastal Carolina. So you really just love it. You really love it to see all the different things he can do. And I think he's going to be a solid player, and I think, just him and the rest of those wide receivers, Lamar Jackson at quarterback, it's dangerous, and I'm really excited. But that's it. Those are some of our latest headlines facing the Baltimore Ravens. Let us know what you guys think. Make sure you guys like and subscribe down below. Leave a like and a comment. It helps people find the show. Greatly appreciate all the support that we've gotten and continue to get. You guys are all truthfully awesome, and we love every single one of you. Down in the description below, you'll find all of our social media platforms. Give us a like and a follow there. All that good jazz. Once again, we love every single one of you. But let us know what you guys think and what else you guys might have noticed from the latest Baltimore Ravens camp headlines.